Welcome to the Honest Hour.
Hey, we're back. We're back together again.
In our no spin environment, except of course.
That's right. Just Rox is spinning in her chair. But yeah, this is the Honest Hour. We come to you to bring you new and things involving real estate, what's happening in the world, what we're seeing, what's going on. So
Tell me about this latest scam we're seeing out there. This is mind-blowing, folks. Mind-blowing.
You know, Rox, sometimes it's not fun being right. But we've talked about this in some of our previous videos about as things start getting a little wonky, as people start hitting some of these hard times, it's like flies coming to a carcass, right? These people with this ill intent just come out of nowhere. They're creative with how they're scamming people out of their monies now. And
that's right.
And the newest evolution of this thing is as a generality, I'm going to call them homeowner agreements, right? And the high level view of it is there's these companies that are out there that are entering into these agreements with these homeowners in exchange for some money. So they're paying these folks some cash. And these agreements are either a 40-year agreement that they're saying, if you sell your house in the next 40 years, you're agreeing to use this brokerage firm to sell it.
40 years?
40 years, the next 40 years.
40 years?
They call options agreements where they're giving up ownership in there, or a portion of their ownership, but giving up all of their rights to be able to control or mortgage or take out additional mortgages on the place. I mean, they're assigning rents and all of their rights in the leases if they're in these things, or just these random means of scamming people out of their equity is really.
So in other words, you could enter into one of these today, have a child 9 months from now, and that child could have passed their childbearing years before this agreement expires.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. The ones that I looked at, there was probably 3 or 4 of them that I kind of reviewed. They were between 20 and 40 years in duration in terms of the stuff. And so it's insane. There's language in some of these agreements that is saying that the seller is binding the future buyer to these terms. So it's really strange, but that gives this company the right to go after the buyer after they purchase the property in the event that the seller didn't fulfill their duties and obligations that were a part of it, like listing it with that brokerage firm that's out there.
How is this legal?
It's a good question. It's really, something, it's a loophole that they've found. From my understanding, the state legislature is aware of it, and they're looking at ways to potentially combat these sort of things. But as of right now, this loophole is still open, and people are taking advantage of it. I mean, I'll show you a quick example.
All right.
This came from one of those agreements that I reviewed, right? And so at the time that they entered into this agreement, which in this case was October of 2019, the owner of the property and the person that was providing this agreed that the property was worth $270,000. The owner was giving up 36% and change of their ownership in the property. So that means it was just under $100,000 was the total value of that 36%.
So in other words, like this company is now buying 36% of the ownership of this property for $100,000.
For $100,000.
Okay.
Yeah. They made a first installment payment of $25,000 to this owner. And so there was an outstanding balance of just under $75,000, right?
Owed to the owner.
Owed to the owner of the property, correct.
Gotcha.
That owner did sell the property, was able to get $392,000 for it. But this company said, you know what, you have some deferred maintenance, maybe like the exterior needed painting or something like that they didn't get done. So they said, if you had done that, the property would have been worth $6,000 more. So we're adding that to your sales price of the $392,000. So the total agreed value is $398,000 for this sale. This company's ownership interest
of which they own 36%. Shut up.
Right. So now their ownership interest was worth $144,712 and change. They subtract out the balance that wasn't paid on that initial purchase price. So you subtract out that $74,990. So that means that this gentleman, this seller, in exchange for getting $25,000, 33 months later had to pay these folks almost 70 grand for that money. It's sickening.
That's robbery. It's sickening. And you know what you said about loopholes, right? Boy, did we see this during the Great Recession too, that you take a look at that. How can any sane person look at what you just showed us and not say this has to be considered some type of fraud or illegal? But until some body comes in and says, in fact, this is illegal, you have people who go out and just steal the hard-earned. You think of how many people's only wealth is in their house. This person just knocked out probably a decade or two of somebody's wealth building on that house. That's criminal.
It's crazy, and it's sickening to see it happening, for sure, because as much as we've talked about it and saying, hey, watch out, make sure you're looking at these agreements that you're signing, these documents are very much drafted by attorneys in attorney speak. So I don't know if these folks are truly understanding the rights that they're giving up when they're signing these things. I mean, some of these things have a power of attorney that is granted to the person giving the money to them, right? So these people have the right, in the event of a default, just to go in and sell the property and say, oh, you know what, you gave me the thing, here's my power of attorney, I'm going to list it and I'm going to sell it out from underneath you. Our closing date is at the end of the month, you need to be gone.
Right.
Or face eviction actions. Right.
So here's the thing. If somebody approaches you with anything other than state of Colorado approved real estate commission contract for any of this business, right? You got to speak with an attorney. If you don't have one, and I don't care what sales pressure they're telling you, right? If they say this deal is only good for today, you pick up the phone and call us, and we will get you a real estate attorney. We'll be able to tell you whether, get you to somebody who can decipher the terms of this thing so you know what it is that you're getting at. Because we absolutely know who they're going to target. They're going to target people who need money, and either because of credit issues, maybe they were in a forbearance agreement and that is showing up as a late mortgage, so they can't get a HELOC, they can't access that equity in other ways, right? So somebody gives them a solution to a cash flow problem they have out of the equity of their house, and they sign away all of their rights to that property.
Yeah, it's preying on people in times of need.
That's right.
If you find yourself in this situation, absolutely reach out. As Rox was saying, we can connect you with an attorney. We can, connect you with some potential other sources of money that aren't going to be so expensive and predatory, right? There's options that are out there besides leveraging so much of your equity in the house that's there. You've earned that. It's yours. Don't let these vultures swoop in and take advantage of you at a time where you're hurting for some cash. There are other options that are out there, and ones that are going to protect your wealth that you've built from your property so far.
Yep. Hey, if you like the material that we're doing, we would love to have, we were looking the other day that the majority of people who look at our Honest Hour vids are not subscribed to our channel. Now, I'm not going to do any of the crazy stuff that I see on other channels, yada, 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 yada. You'll have to look at our river dancing video tutorials in order to get that type of song and dance. However, we would love it if you would subscribe to our channel. You can hit the little notification bell so that you hear when we've got new content. And please share this material, like it if you like it, and share it with other folks. This is a passion of ours, is getting the information people need into their hands.
Knowledge is power, and that's what we're trying to do, is bring some knowledge in and around the real estate in the Denver metro area. So share that so everybody can learn a little bit, and share it in specifically in this case, help some of these folks that potentially are getting taken advantage of, that allow them to learn that there are other options besides mortgaging their futures.
That's right.